My name is Alicia, and welcome to our Golden Acre. My family and I live on 1 acre of land in a suburban area, and I love to garden. I love to grow our own food, and I love to share it with you with what knowledge that I have, and just to get to share the plants and the growing and the fun and the fails with you out there. So, welcome to my channel. Like I said, my name's Alicia. I grow in, first of all, up here are our chickens and their chicken tractor. And the top part there, we'll walk through all portions of it, but the top part is new garden space that we added using a no-till approach, using our chickens, using mulch, and so far pretty happy with what we have going on. And then this is what I call the original part of the garden. However, the very original part of the garden is just this space right here. And then we added on here, then we added on over there, and then we added on over there, and then we added on in. So continually, I've been adding to this space till we absolutely maxed out what's within our woven wire here. And then last year, I got to the point where I finally convinced my husband to go ahead and move beyond the woven wire fence and to be able to grow a few more things. So let's take a step into the original part of the garden. Okay. Here is our gate that we put up temporarily many years ago. Now we have a solid garden bed that starts from here and heads all the way down. There's a T-post right there, all the way down that space. Almost everything is ready to get torn out. So this lettuce I planted back early March, as I did these radishes. Now, I'm not going to eat one right now, but interesting thing, these seed pods for radishes actually taste like a little radish. So this portion right here, we harvested radishes from it. As they started to bolt, we just left them with the idea of having the blossoms to draw in the beneficials. But right now, there is a crazy amount of these seed pods. So you can eat these, throw them on a salad, snack on them while you're in the garden. They have the same kind of peppery taste that a radish has. And then if you let them dry, there's seeds in there and you can just plant them the following year. Okay. So I'm kind of going through the balance of letting things grow, go to blossom. This was our arugula. We've got some tall lettuce here. We're letting some of this blossom just to bring in our beneficial insects, take care of our pollinators. But pretty soon I'm going to take out all of this. And this is actually already space we've taken out and I just mulched. And I'm going to plant some corn and black beans in this space right here. This is a little bit of lettuce. We may try to get a little more use out of this, but it is getting hot enough that the lettuce just is getting very bitter very quickly. Now down in this space here, we have sweet potatoes planted. They're starting to perk up a little bit. I have fertilized these because they did look a little bit sad for a while. I've got 15 sweet potato plants in that space right there, hoping to have a good yield this year. We had a really nice yield last year, but we had voles eating our sweet potatoes down in the beds. So I moved where I was planting them. We've added these solar stakes that beep that are trying to kind of deter them from the garden. Not 100% sure it's working, but we're giving it a shot. Here at the end, we've got some kind of sad cucumbers. They're coming along. I just fertilized these today with hopes of giving them a little bit of a boost. Here we've got some volunteer wild rocket arugula. We've had the best luck this year with our broccoli. Some of it's starting to bolt. We're still harvesting some of it. Right now the plants look incredibly healthy right now. I feel like a lot of times when I've tried to grow this kind of thing that there's been so many caterpillars on it. I go to harvest it and I don't end up using it just because I just find so many caterpillars that I end up kind of grossing myself out. This year, we've been eating our broccoli, which has been quite an accomplishment. Pretty excited about that this year. This bed here is our volunteer dill. You plant dill once and you never ever need to plant it again. Now along the first side of this bed was cabbage that we've already harvested. We actually had some lovely coleslaw this evening. I'm hoping to harvest these few heads here this week, make some coleslaw, some sauerkraut, that kind of thing. Next to that is a bed of onions. I'm trying this year to grow enough onions that I don't have to buy any from this garden season to next. We'll see how they store and how well they do. Now, right there, look at this. This is a carrot. Look at that blossom. Isn't that beautiful? We actually had a carrot that overwintered 2 years ago. I let it go to seed. It seeded this one. And now I'm just letting this go to seed. I may try to save some seeds. I have a little more research to do on that. I saw somewhere that it's like real prone to cross with Queen Anne's lace. We'll see. Got some lovely herbs here, basil and parsley. This one right here is a type of basil. Where's the tag? Thought I put the tag in there. I don't see it. But it's this beautiful variegated leaf. I think it's a hybrid of some variety, and it's supposed to get really, really tall and not blossom. Pretty excited for that this year. Some of our parsley went into our dinner tonight, going into our coleslaw. Now from here, we have a very small patch of peas right here. We didn't have a lot of luck getting them germinated, but they're been wonderful garden snacks as of late. And then most of the remainder of this garden bed is peppers. We've got 3 different kinds of bell peppers right in this space right here. King, Cal Wonders, and a chocolate bell. These I just fertilized because I didn't quite like the color about a week ago, I think. They're perking up, starting to like the color. They're getting a little more fuller, so liking how those are looking. This is our hot pepper bed. I never remember the name of these. We just call them our purple peppers. This one is, I don't remember. Oh, Sugar Rush Peach. And then we've got jalapeno, datil. Might be making that up, but I think that's how I'm gonna say it. Pumpkin spice, jalapeno down there, and then another purple pepper on the corner. And then here are some more sweets: sweet banana, Hungarian wax, Pippin Golden Honey, and nata peños. These 2 right here are nata peños. What they're supposed to be is a jalapeno, the taste of a jalapeno, the flavor of a jalapeno without the heat. I have plans of doing pickled and fermented jalapenos, nata peños this year to let go on nachos during football season. So I think that's going to be fun. Now, first year growing chamomile. Pretty excited with how this is looking. I've harvested a little bit. I actually need to harvest some more. From my understanding, again, first year, you just harvest the blossom and dry it, and that is chamomile tea. So I have chamomile in like 4 different parts of the garden. So we'll see how much chamomile that makes. Going right here, this is just a top to an old composter. I've been planting sweet potatoes in there. Last year was the year that the voles got in there and like ate out our sweet potatoes, ate out the center of our sweet potatoes. So trying something different. And this is pretty much ready to harvest. I like to harvest our zucchini a little smaller. So we've got, 4 or 5 ready to harvest and to go into something this week. Here's my spinner. This is one of the attempts to get rid of moles and voles in our garden. It's supposed to add some vibrations down into the soil and mess with how they navigate. I don't know if it works or not. But I did have, as I do this year, I have sweet potatoes in this bed right here. Last year, these were good. These did not get eaten. So I'm hoping maybe having this right here, this spinner right here in this bed, keeps these sweet potatoes safe. The color on these is better than the ones that I showed you first. That's why I'm hoping the fertilizer perked those up and actually just fertilize them again. Now this right here is one of my new projects. I did publish a video on this. This had been a brick made out of, a bed made out of brick, just like this one right here. I've found these bricks seem to be like a safe haven for pill bugs. I'm not seeing any right now, of course, but I've had a lot of trouble in this bed specifically with any seedlings, like anything I plant as a seedling, not making it, or really struggling. And I've seen a lot of pill bugs just kind of attacking the leaves, attacking the roots, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping eliminating all those cracks and crevices and kind of shelter for those little pill bugs will help. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see those pill bugs there, potato bugs. They're one of those things, I believe, oh, here you go. Look at all those guys. I believe they have their place. They do, from what I've read, like help shred organic material. So the mulch, the leaves, that kind of thing, they help break it down. But they also have absolutely wreaked havoc on some of my seedlings at times. So I'm really hoping that just eliminating all that coverage space, like you figure every flat surface, every kind of up and down, that like where those bricks join is just beautiful coverage for them. So this is a live edge bed. I stole this slab wood from my dad's sawmill. Actually, I think it's all the same tree for the most part. And then I used just these pieces of scrap at the corners. I opted to put this on the outside versus the inside because I was hoping keeping it out here will keep it from being damp as often as if it were surrounded by soil on the inside, and just hoping that it makes it last a little bit longer. Right here, I have radishes in many places in the garden. I do that because there's some philosophies out there that having these little blossoms near your squash brings in your beneficials and helps you control squash bugs and cucumber beetles. So that's what we're going with. That's what we're trying. This is a type of butternut squash, and honestly, we're gonna have to wait till that starts to produce because I can't remember which kind it was. I've got 2 different kinds planted, and I think I planted one kind and it didn't germinate, and then I planted the other kind and I don't remember which way that worked. So we will find out together later on once that starts to produce fruit. This is the first tomato bed I planted, trying a new way of trellising this year, where I just have the posts or the conduit and then just a branch tied at the top and a single string going down. I'm keeping my tomato plants to either 1 or 2 main stems. I'm actually experimenting a little bit to see how production compares. Like this first tomato, I'm allowing it to have 2 stalks coming up, whereas the second one, which is the same, this one right here, is the same kind of plant, and I only have 1 stalk. I want to compare that production and see how they do. But you can see we've got some baby tomatoes there. These are German pinks. They're really similar to a Brandywine. Honestly, last year I had both and I couldn't tell the difference. I don't do a great job keeping my seedlings labeled properly. I'm not sure. I can't tell the difference between the two. So if somebody out there can, please let me know. We've got some sunflowers in various places in the garden. Here, let's go around, take a look at that one. He's hiding under there. Now, right here, this one, you will notice a big difference between the size of this tomato plant, and the other guys. These two that were planted in here looked kind of sick to me. There were some brown spots, there was some wilting, that kind of thing. So I just decided to remove them completely and put some other tomatoes in there. I'm hoping that that just helped maybe keep some blight from taking over this whole bed or something. More of an art than a science here. We're just trying that out and seeing how that works. And then these two over here are Paul Robesons. This is the first year that I've grown these. They're supposed to have absolutely amazing flavor. I'm pretty excited to see how they do. You can see a little baby tomato right down there. This is the bed of onions that actually looks the best. It's one of the first ones I planted. It took a little while to get it going, but look at the bulb on that one right there. That just looks absolutely gorgeous. As I mentioned, trying to grow enough onions that are going to last from the end of this season all the way until next garden season when we start to get onions. We'll see how that works. Ideally, at some point, it'd be really amazing just to grow all of our own vegetables from one year to the next. But we're starting with onions, and we'll see what else we can get to. All right, taking a minute to sit down. This side right here, this is the very back of the original garden. The house is on that side, and the new garden's up that way. Back in 2020, I had hay bales solid from one end to the other, and we planted potatoes in those hay bales. We had a pretty good yield. I found I have a hard time keeping my potatoes from sprouting in storage, so I'd love to grow enough potatoes to like last the winter, but even if I have a ton of potatoes, they sprout and go soft on me before I can use them. So working on that. But anyway, I decided this year, like, we've had potatoes in this space, like this soil has, look at this. This was hay and leaves and straw, this whole length of the bed, and it broke down into some really gorgeous soil. And so I've just been, like, in the fall, we throw the chickens on it and let them kind of scratch through it and till it a little bit, add some manure. And we've planted potatoes here 2020, 2021, and 2022. And so I'm like, this year I need to plant something else here. So I planted carrots, I planted black beans, and I planted corn, and actually there's a few sweet potatoes all the way at the other end. I have to miss so many little tiny potatoes when I harvest, because you'll see that's solid potatoes back there. So I don't know if I'll get any carrots because they germinated, but then the potatoes took over. The corn and the beans germinated, but the potatoes took over. I think I'll get some beans and I'll get some corn from back here, but I may just have to let this stay potatoes from now till the end of time, or until we move, because apparently I miss a ridiculous amount of potatoes when I harvest, because solid potatoes. So let's take a look at that. I'll point out some of the places where I tried to grow something else besides potatoes, and it didn't work. Well, it kind of worked, but not as well as I thought it was going to. All right, so here, potatoes. Right here, I had planted carrots and the potatoes took over. More potatoes, more potatoes. Down in here, you will see, these are my black beans. I think I'm gonna get some black beans out of them, but definitely not as well as if the potatoes hadn't completely taken over. What do we have right there? Hang on. There is, I forget what that is. Right there. Do you see that? All right. We smushed that. I know I've looked that up. It's not beneficial. It's not good for my potatoes. So wherever he was, he just got smushed. And here I planted like a block of corn. It is a mini corn, like it's like an ear that's only about that big, just because it works well in small gardens. But I've never had them, this is the third year I've grown those, I've never had them tassel this early. I'm not sure if they came in thick enough to cross-pollinate and create the ears because the potatoes kind of tried to take over again. So we will see. And hey, look, there's more potatoes. Then right in here, this space has been mulched very deeply and no potatoes had come through as of yesterday. So I just removed some of the mulch and planted a few sweet potatoes just to see how well they do in the soil back here. Now, look at this crazy blossom here. This is a sunflower. I believe this is called a fasciated blossom. You see it in like dandelions where like multiple buds like end up like fusing together. But doesn't that look really cool? Kind of excited to let that finish opening up. It looks like almost like 3 blossoms fused together, and I think that is so beautiful. Now here are 3 Romas and some marigolds. I kind of have flowers and different things throughout the whole garden. And then along this side, more onions and some chamomile right there at the end of the bed. And then here, this is our garlic. This is starting to brown out. Typically in our area, we find that we harvest somewhere between like the 4th of July and the middle of July. So that's probably gonna get harvested in the next couple weeks. And then here, in between the garlic and the onions down there that I showed you a little bit earlier, are some potatoes I actually planted. These were the ones, actually my daughter Quinn planted these because we wanted to see how this space would produce throwing some potatoes in, because we haven't ever grown potatoes in this garden anywhere besides the space behind me that I just showed you. This garden bed here, including the garlic, was actually our very first winter space where we kept our chickens. And then that converted into garden space. I always tell people, if you get chickens, your garden is going to grow. They just lend to that. And then just one more thing here. I wasn't sure what I wanted to plant in here. I'd cut out some lettuce and gave to the chickens recently after I replaced that bed or with the sides. And so I just threw some buckwheat in there to grow as a cover crop, to have something growing in the soil. And then later on, I think what we're going to do is plant some peas in here and see if we've made any progress, because in the spring we planted peas in this space and got nothing. I think like 2 of them none of them germinated. I ended up starting some in pots and transplanting them, and the ones I transplanted in here got beat up so bad by the pill bugs that they didn't produce. So I'm hoping, kind of as an experiment, to see if we've made any progress by removing the bricks from this space, planting peas in for the fall to see if we can get some germination. And also we already have this wire trellis here that kind of works well for them to be able to grow up. So that does it for the main part, or the original part of the garden. Let's head up to the new space and I'll show you what's going on.